The best way to get revenge is to let his family cut off his head and feed it to the dog. The pervert killer eats human flesh every meal, and has countless young girls in the house. As long as the food in the house is finished, he will randomly take away a girl, and then it becomes the scene in front of the eyes. The meat is kept in the fridge, and the other parts are fed to the two dogs in the house. The killer also has a pervert friend who has the same perverted psychology as him, specializing in killing many girls on the side of the road and then start the knife.
아이를 가졌어요. 살려주세요, 제발.
But he won't care so much directly dissecting a woman's body and then throwing it into the river nearby, and the killer had no idea that he had caused trouble this time. The next day, two children played in the river and found a human body in the grass. Fogler immediately closed the scene and confirmed that the river was his wife. Just as Fogler turned into a devil, and a revenge game began. The next day, Kim Soo-hyun continued work and found a suspicious person in the relationship, and this person is his own killer. Then the big man took the killer's photo and found his mother, but when the parents saw his photo, they showed a look like they hadn't seen their son for a long time. It seems that the killer has other places to hide. After careful inspection, Kim Soo-hyun came to the home where the killer lived. The killer's home was creepy. After a search, he found a large number of women's underwear and personal belongings in a locked cabinet. When he saw this, he panicked. There was something about his wife in the sofa. That's when the door behind him suddenly made a noise. Kim Soo-hyun carefully opened the door. This is the place where his wife and other innocent women were dissected. The ground was covered with blood in the sewer. Kim Soo-hyun found something that he couldn't accept. It was the wedding ring he gave his wife when the killer dissected his wife. He fell into the sewer. For a moment, Kim Soo-hyun's day was over, and from that moment on, Kim Soo-hyun became the devil of revenge. He wanted the killer to die. Then he asked someone to install a GPS on the killer's car, monitor his every move, and at the same time, the killer found a new target. It was snowing in the middle of the night because the woman was standing alone on the street. The killer used a smooth excuse to approach the woman. He was driving a school car. She let her guard down. Without a doubt, she got in. She had no idea he was a killer. The van kept moving like everything was normal, but at a turn the killer suddenly drove to a remote road, and then he took out a steel pipe from the trunk, and then he got up and fell. Everything he did, it wasn't because the woman was angry with him, it was to satisfy his perverted mind. Kim Soo-hyun found the killer was driving a school car to send the student home. When he was going to send the last student, the student fell asleep in the car. His eyes suddenly became sharp. When the student woke up again, he was tied up in a vegetable field. The killer pulled out the victim's clothes as if he was doing an autopsy. Kim Soo-hyun suddenly opened the door. This is the first time he has come face to face with the killer. His eyes were teary. He had been waiting for this moment for too long, and at this moment he didn't know who was standing in front of him. He showed a faceless look, and then he rushed up like crazy. As a graduate of the police academy, 3 or 2 shots were dropped on the ground. The reaction was that the brain came out. The killer couldn't beat Kim Soo-hyun, so he turned around and ran. Kim Soo-hyun worked hard to track. He grabbed the killer with one foot and kicked him on the ground. Then he picked up the plastic bag on the ground, cover his head. Just when the killer was about to die, Kim Soo-hyun suddenly let go. He grabbed the killer's head, hit the stone to the side. After smashing, he was ready to use the mic, but he let it go again. He didn't want the killer to die so painfully. Then he took out a piece of GPS from his pocket, stuck it in the killer's mouth. He wanted the killer to suffer torture for a long time. Then he cut off his arm with one foot. That night the killer woke up from a coma. He walked to the main road in a hurry. He stopped the taxi. He killed all the people in the car and left them in the wild. After that, the killer drove to the clinic to see a doctor. Outside the window, his perverted mind was disturbed again. He stared at the little nurse inside, so when the little nurse changed her clothes to get off work, he rushed straight into the room and locked the door. Then he saw the nurse taking off her clothes in front of him. The nurse didn't respond. The nurse was afraid of danger. She had to sit quietly on the other side.
쌍판되게 칼질하기 전에 빨리 벗어 이 씨발년아.
Kim Soo-hyun was listening through the mic. The killer was about to make his move, but before he could, Fogler grabbed a fire extinguisher. He was afraid that I would do it to him again. No accident. The killer was beaten by the Kim Soo-hyun again. He hit the killer's head hard. After that, the Kim Soo-hyun took off the killer's shoes, picked up the surgical knife on the ground. He jumped out with his feet and bones. After a lot of torture, Kim Soo-hyun threw him into the wilderness, give him hope for a new life, but this distance does not increase confidence. Instead, he continued to do evil. The killer ran to his friend's house to hide the tears in the meal. It's all in the killer's ears. It turns out that his friend is also a vicious bad guy eating human flesh all year round. There are a lot of innocent women in the house. As long as you're not happy, he will randomly pull out a prey. Torture. Kim Soo-hyun heard something wrong, immediately came to the killer's house to save the girl. In a scream, the killer friend who was downstairs was shocked. Kim Soo-hyun cut off his wrist, and then a steel needle went through his arm, and then he tied it to the table like a dog with an iron chain on his arm. Just when he was about to cut, the killer came over with a gun. In a moment of gunfire, Kim Soo Soo-hyun jumped down from the second floor and then he climbed up to the second floor. From one side he came to a room. He chose a weapon, quietly slowly approached the killer's room. In a corner the fat killer suddenly ran out. The two of them fought in an instant. Although they are evil, but they are not the opponents of the Kim Soo-hyun at all. Beaten with a steel pipe on the ground, the blood spurted like a fountain. This is the killer. Through the shadow of the wall, Kim Soo-hyun is standing on the top of the chest. He quickly sprinkled the ground with soil and then he hid. The killer didn't notice. He stepped on it with a cry. Kim Soo-hyun rushed forward immediately and killed him. Then he took the iron rod and hit the iron rod on his head, knocked for 5 minutes until the iron rod was broken. He just stopped. Then take the killer to the hospital for treatment. After giving him hope, then pull him into hell. He wants to take the pain of his wife, give it back to the killer. Little by little, chatting with his colleagues, he mentioned the GPS in the killer's body. I let the fake coma killer hear it. Showed an evil smile. 2 days later the killer woke up in a tunnel. Killer
정말 재밌어. 에이, 주연이, 연희 동산 않아. 장주연이가 죽기 전에 그러더라. 임신해.
killer was confused. Drive the car straight to the pharmacy. At this time, the killer had put a bottle of decoction in his mouth. Until this moment, Kim Soo-hyun realized because of his own reasons let too many innocent people lose their lives. When he arrived at the pharmacy, the killer had already gone far. Only saw the killed doctor. The killer found the GPS in his own branch. Then he picked a poor man in the bathroom. After a shot, put the GPS in his mouth. Then the killer just drove away. Then Kim Soo-hyun rushed over. 2 people just passed by. Kim Soo-hyun was stunned. This time he lost contact with the killer, and the killer at this time he's on his way to Kim Soo-hyun's father-in-law's house. He's going to kill his wife's family. Then he called the police, told them the news, said he would go to the police station. After he was done, the police station immediately called the Kim Soo-hyun. Then he told his father-in-law, don't open the door for anyone. A large number of police immediately went to the police station, but before the Kim Soo-hyun could make a phone call, the killer had already arrived at the door. Not surprisingly, his father-in-law died in the hands of the killer before the killer was ready to leave. Heroine's sister actually came back at this time. When the Kim Soo-hyun arrived at his father-in-law's house, the police had already closed the scene. The killer had already fled far. Finally, in his imagination, found the dead body of Heroine's sister. All over the body on the other side, countless murderers drove to the center of the street. He came to turn himself in, but it's not that easy for Kim Soo-hyun to let him go. Kim Soo-hyun opened the car door. A powerful car hit the car door just when a large number of people rushed forward to catch the killer. Kim Soo-hyun rushed forward with 1 foot. The killer was directly pressed into his own car. The picture turned. The killer was tied to his own home with blood all over his face. No matter how much Kim Soo-hyun tortured the killer, he still didn't give up. The killer's mouth is very vicious. He's already dead. He kept talking about his wife. Kim Soo-hyun could not bear it. An iron stick pierced the killer's mouth. This time he can't let the killer go again. In order to kill him, Kim Soo-hyun came up with a cruel way. After that, Kim Soo-hyun tied the rope of the knife to the door, then let the killer bite the other end. As long as the killer loosens his mouth, the big knife on top must fall. If you don't let go, you have to keep going in hell. And the purpose of the Kim Soo-hyun's doing this, it's to make the killer feel the despair of freezing to death. Who knows, the next second Kim Soo-hyun just left. The killer's parents and son actually showed up here. It's all part of the Kim Soo-hyun's plan. He's going to let the hands of his family last, but after the killer heard his son's voice, he can't help it anymore. An unprecedented sense of fear. He wants to shout out loud, tell your family not to open the door, but with his mouth the big knife on his head will fall. I don't know anything about this house, but his family doesn't know what he's going to say. Instead, the more he shouts, the more anxious the family outside the house is. The moment the big knife fell, the killer can't help it anymore. Although he succeeded in avenging his wife, but because of his selfishness, too many innocent people lost their lives. If he could go back, he must regret everything he did. And that's how this thrilling story comes to an end. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss our next movie breakdown. Got a film you'd like us to cover? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.